And we're so excited to have some members of the Disney family here, some folks from D23 and folks from the Walt Disney Corporation. They're gonna give you a little bit of history and make some speeches, but first, the thank yous. A huge thank you to all of our volunteers today and all of our groups who have come out here. Of course, everybody from the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council, the Cultural Affairs Committee, our friends at the Los Feliz Improvement Association and the Los Feliz Village Business Improvement District, who were great sources of support, and our friends who now occupy the place where Walt once did. Our friends at Breakwater Studio, Kingswell Skate Shop, and Extra Copy. They've been keeping this all alive. And how cool is it that there are Academy Award winning films being made in the building where Roy and Walt started out? It's still a hub for artists from all over the world. So we thank you so much for coming. We hope that this is the beginning of celebrating a lot of wonderful things about our neighborhood. And next, I'd like to bring up Justin Arthur from D23, the official Disney fan club. Take us started.
Well, hey everybody. Thank you so much, John, and thanks to the whole Neighborhood Council for having us here. On behalf of the Walt Disney Company, I want to thank everybody for being here and say how cool this is. This is such a unique thing to happen here. I don't think 101 years ago when Walt and Roy got here, they imagined how big the company would get. But it all started here. I know Walt said it was all started by a mouse, but we know it was started by two brothers right here on Kingswell Avenue, which is pretty cool. And D23, we are the official Disney fan club. We do events all over the country year-round, and so we're really happy to be here. Come by and stop by and say hi. If you're a member, thanks for being here. If you're not, come talk to us. But anyway, I would love to introduce the first of our speakers that we've invited along. This person is a true Disney legend in every sense of the word. He produced films like Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, The Emperor's New Groove, Frankenweenie. He's also a prolific writer who's written a lot of books about Disney history and has directed several films, including Waking Sleeping Beauty and Westward Walt, which you can actually go right upstairs at Breakwater Studios and watch today, which is pretty cool, which documents Walt's journey to Southern California. So without further ado, please let me introduce to you Disney legend Don Hahn.
Thank you. I am Disney legend Don Hahn. Thank you. Thank you all. Hey, thanks for coming today. Thanks to all of you Los Felizites and people from beyond. I've met people here that are from out of the town, out of the country, and it is so great to gather and celebrate what happened here over 100 years ago, because Walt Disney came here in 1923, took the red car from downtown Los Angeles, from La Grande Station, which is not there anymore. It fell down in an earthquake a long time ago. He had taken the California Limited out to Los Angeles, which was the train to take out from Chicago. It passed through a little town called Marceline. Never heard of it, but anyway, and he took it from Kansas City out here. He got a first-class ticket, which many say is extravagant, but it's not, because it was an all first-class train, so you had to buy a first-class ticket. And he did. He came out here, took the red car to right here behind where you're standing, and walked down to his uncle's house, which is right here on Kingswell. In 1923, Los Angeles was on fire, not literally like it is today, but in terms of an explosion of stuff happening. In 1923, the Hollywood sign went up in the hills. Thank you, sir. Very nice. And also, the Hollywood Bowl was built in 1923. The Rose Bowl was built in 1923. Anything with the word bowl in the title was built in 1923. At the end of the street, were you to walk straight down here, is Vitagraph Studios. Vitagraph was sold to four brothers called the Warner Brothers, and they filmed The Jazz Singer there at the end of the street. So Hollywood Ground Zero happened here, not just for Walt Disney, but for all that happened in this neighborhood. Now, Walt lived with his Uncle Robert, which we'll hear a little bit more about in a bit, and his house is down the street here. And the other thing that was happening is people were building houses like Frank Lloyd Wright was building the Hollyhock House on top of the hill over here. Thank a little soft applause for the Hollyhock House. It was here when Walt Disney was here. It's hard to believe, but he would have seen it. He would have gone in it. So he was in the middle of this kind of cultural explosion happening in Los Angeles, and he benefited from that, and he loved that. The Disney Brothers studio was right here. You can point to it 101 years later, which is extraordinary, thanks to all of you in Los Feliz. They started in a real estate office where the skate shop is. Thank you, skate shop. And they migrated and expanded next door. Eventually, Walt got married to a woman named Lillian. Lillian was Walt's beautiful wife. She was raised in Lapwai, Idaho. Anyone from Lapwai? No? On a Nez Perce Native American reservation. She was in Hollywood working for Walt, and they fell in love. It's a beautiful story, and they got married and they lived in an apartment. If you walk down that alley, there's a blue stucco building where Walt and Lillian first lived when they got married. Again, you're in the middle of some great history here. Uncle Robert's house was rescued a few years ago by some really amazing people. Yes, thank you. And those people are with us today. I just want to acknowledge Walt's granddaughter and great-grandson. So Joanna Miller is here, right back here. And Nick, Walt's great-grandson, is with her. Joanna is kind of a miracle worker as keeping Walt's legacy alive and restored that wonderful bungalow that Uncle Robert, where he lived, where Walt first lived when he came here, to this amazing place, which you'll hear about as the weeks and months progress. The voice of Donald Duck is here, Tony Anselmo in the background. So any of you that need your answering machines done, Tony Anselmo. Very handy. Sorry about that, Tony. So we are so happy you're here. It is a rare occasion where we have representatives from the Disney Brothers studio here that are members of not only Walt's family and Joanna and Nick, but also Roy's family. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you, Roy's family is unusual because everyone's named Roy in Roy's family, but a good friend, an amazing person who is down here today for the first time, and he'll tell you a little bit more about it. But Roy O. Disney's grandson, Roy Patrick Disney, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome him. That's you. That would be you.
Oh, he took some of my limes. Damn it. First, let me thank Joanne Miller for being here, my cousin, and for what the Miller side of the family has done for the legacy. If you've never been to San Francisco, there is a museum that is the most remarkable journey through time I have ever seen, and I urge you all to go see it. It's in Embarcadero. So, in the Presidio. So anyway, I want to thank you all for coming. I could have done it by heart like Don, but I did notes just so I don't get so lost. But, so, you know, in my many years, and frankly, there have been way too many years for me to count, but I've never been here. I have never been to Kingswell. Of all the places, I've been to Marceline, I've been to Chicago, I've been to Los Feliz, where the houses were. I've been to Lyric, where the two houses were side by side, Walt and Roy. But at the end of the day, this is a story about family. My Uncle Walt Disney, his older brother by 8 years, Roy Disney, his Uncle Robert and his Aunt Charlotte. They lived right down the street, and that's where Walt lived for quite some time. And by the way, just so you know, the Disney family's gotten a little bigger since then. It's about 120,000 people now. But that said, this is a company that considers every person that lives there, works there, thrives there as family. So I want to acknowledge that. So Walt was a young, struggling artist from Kansas City, full of energy, full of ideas, not so full of money. In fact, broke, and nowhere to go with all of that. His older brother Roy, who was convalescing at the Sawtell Hospital down here with tuberculosis from World War I, wrote to Walt and said, you know, you need to get out of Kansas City. There's nothing there for you. You need to come to Hollywood. Again, sage advice from an older brother, I'm just saying. So he did, and he struck out. Again, and again, and again. If anybody's ever tried to get a job in Hollywood, you know. It's next to impossible, and you don't end up doing what you think you're going to start out to do. But Walt did notice that Uncle Robert's house had a little empty garage next to it. Now, in those days, a lot of houses had empty garages, and they were renting for about $5 a month. And Walt talked his Uncle Robert into using the garage, not for a car, he didn't have a car, but for an animation studio. And as far as I know, and the Millers can back me up on this or not, I don't think rent was ever actually accrued or charged or returned, so we can talk about that later. But it's here that Walt created something called Alice in Cartoon Land. He'd started it in Kansas City, but had to finish it here once he got a contract from a woman named Margaret Winkler, who lived in New York. The only woman, by the way, in the film business at the time. No credit to women here, but they are more important than men. So, in any event, it was a comedy about a human person who lived in a cartoon world. Does that sound familiar? Like Roger Rabbit or, say, Mary Poppins. He only had one other problem. He had no money. He had no one to work with. So he would go on a regular basis and tell his older brother Roy about his travails and how hard it was. Well, his brother finally one night had had enough, checked himself out of the hospital in the middle of the night against his doctor's advice, and the two of them set up shop. And by the way, the rest is history, sort of. It was a rocky history. And it all started right here. It all started right here. So I am happy that this place is being recognized for what it is as the birthplace of something so important to the world. It really is. This is the part of the genesis of Hollywood, right here. Like Laemmle, which, by the way, the Laemmle studio has been moved. It's not where it started, but... and it's about a family who gave a kid a chance, which I think is important. There's a studio right here where they're doing shorts, 2 of which have been nominated. Moving forward, creating. That's what it's about, giving people a chance. I'm also so glad that a century later, the Walt Disney Company and the Neighborhood City Council and our Councilwoman have recognized that this place is important, and that we now hope that the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio Square will serve as a source of inspiration for future dreamers to make their own mark in the industry as well as on the world. And on behalf of the Disney family, I also want to thank the Neighborhood Council for the incredible honor they've bestowed on the Disney Brothers. And I want to thank you all for attending. Enjoy.
Thank you, Roy. We've received some questions about, well, is the sign, where's the sign? What's the sign? We're going to do a little unveiling for you here, but tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, the Department of Transportation is going to come and put these big signs up on the pole right there and the pole right here, but not right now. Right now, I'd like to introduce to you a real ally for our neighborhood council, somebody without whom we would not be here today. Squares like this are dedicated by act of the city council, and we're very lucky to have our council member here today who not only introduced and championed this resolution, but her and her office helped us set up all the tents, get the permits, make this actually happen. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for Council Member Nithya Raman of the 4th Council District.
Okay, welcome everybody. I guess I'm like a foot shorter than everybody else. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for being out here. Thank God that heat wave is over. As a member of the LA City Council, I just want to thank every one of you for being out here. I want to hear a cheer from everyone who's wearing Disney merch today. This is the biggest entertainment brand in the entire world, and it started right here in this neighborhood in Los Feliz, and we have so much to be proud about as we unveil this sign today. I have my phone open because there are so many people who did so much work on this that I have to mention. I want to thank the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council, members of whom are here, Los Feliz Improvement Association, which does so much to preserve this neighborhood's history, the Los Feliz Business Improvement District, which care for this neighborhood with pride. All of them pushed this forward, sent letters in support, and you know, for me as a member who represents sometimes a very fractious community, I am absolutely delighted that for once, as a member of the LA City Council, I get to do something that has no controversy at all associated with it. I want to give a special shout out to John and Brian, who are behind me today, who are not only dressed the best, but who also spearheaded all of the work for today's event and have been working with our office from the very beginning. And I want to thank every single person who is here from the Disney family, and there are more members recognized earlier than I even knew were going to be here. But I wanted to thank Don, Justin, and Roy, who are all members of the Disney actual family and the extended family. So thank you to them for helping us to mark this history. I want to just say that, you know, I'm a transplant to Los Angeles. My husband and I moved here. My husband grew up in a very rural place in Pennsylvania, a young South Asian boy who watched TV and wanted to make TV. And he moved here to build his dreams here. And it's exciting to me to be connected to this history. And Roy was telling me earlier that when they first started Disney Brothers Studio, they had so little money that they had one full meal every 3 days between the two of them. That's how hard they had to work. That's how many times they had to fail before they were able to achieve one of the greatest successes in this world's history. So I want to just say, I feel so proud to be in a city that welcomed that 100 years ago and that still continues to welcome that kind of entrepreneurship and big dreams that made it possible today. So with that, are we ready to do the unveiling? Okay, so.
Everybody step in. Right up front, step right up front.
Can we get the other? Joanna, could we ask you to come forward and be part of the unveiling with us? And anyone else from the family who wants to come and be part of this? Hold on. Come on. Of course. Thank you so much for coming. We feel very blessed. Okay, ready?
Oh, wait. I think you're taller. Let's all get guys step in front, folks.
One second.
Hold on, Mike, can you take care of your spot?
Yeah. Here we go. Ready? Ready? Let's go. Ready, guys? 3, 2, 1. Thank you all so much. And to commemorate this event, we have some tiny little signs for you, Roy. For you, Dawn.
Thank you so much for coming and being a part of this special day for us. This fair will be open until 5 p.m., so there's lots of chances to take lots of pictures. Just please be safe. There are folks running around. Please go visit some of our amazing local businesses. Great place to have dinner or a drink. And may your dreams go with you from this spot of dreamers forward in the world. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good one.